If you grow a bunch of plants, whether it be in the garden or in pots, it is likely you would have seen some of the critters I'm about to show you. Most of them are pretty universal and can be found in gardens around the world. Our job today is to establish if these animals are a friend or a foe for your succulents. I feel like a trigger warning is in order, as some of the animals featured can be a bit of a jump scare for a lot of people. I want to kick things off with this cool guy, as it's often mistakenly identified as a mealybug. The first time I found one of these on my succulents, I thought it was a huge mealybug, but something made me investigate and what I found blew my mind. Meet the larvae of the mealybug destroyer, or Cryptolaemus montrouzieri. These guys have an incredible appetite for mealybugs, but are also known to eat aphids and even soft scale. Amazing! The mealybug destroyer is a much larger than your average mealybug, and it looks a little bit like a skeleton. They are a type of ladybird native to Australia, but can be purchased all around the world. Pest predator stores sell them as larvae or adults. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of an adult Cryptolaemus, but there's plenty of photos if you put mealybug destroyer into your search bar. The mealybug destroyer is definitely a great friend in your succulent garden. If you ever find a weird looking bug or an animal, do try and identify it first, even if they resemble a pest. You may just be saving a good bug. Next up is probably one of the most common and sadly the most hated animals you'll find if you grow plants, no matter where in the world you are. I happen to live in the spider capital of the world and see loads of these in and around my nursery. I cannot even tell you how many plants I've damaged because I had to throw them as far away as possible because a huge spider crawled out from somewhere. I've dropped trays full of plants, broken ceramic pots, you name it. But despite this silly fear, and let's be honest, it is a silly fear as these guys are tiny in comparison to us, I welcome spideys and share my greenhouses with them. They are most definitely a friend around your plants and will eat many of the foes. I always feel incredibly sad when I hear people kill spiders, as if they weren't on this planet, life would be hard. Spiders literally mop up pests and annoying insects such as flies and mozzies. I particularly love these smaller ones. Their webs can look a bit unsightly, but they will intercept annoying pests like winged aphids, beetles that lay grubs, and mealybugs. A fun fact about spiders: some species are social and live in groups where they raise young and share their food. Whenever I feel the ick seeing a spider, I imagine it having a dinner and chat with its friends. Another fun fact: some succulents like the Sempervivum arachnoideum grow a web-like fuss to protect themselves from sunburn, moisture loss, and even pests. These webs are not caused by spiders. In the gardening world, caterpillars are considered a foe, and in the horticultural industry it is common practice to spray insecticides to kill them. Despite caterpillars causing lots of damage to many of my succulents every year, I never kill or spray to prevent them, and I hate to see that it is common practice. Let me show you why. Look at this, isn't it stunning? I've only seen this moth once in my life, and any of the caterpillars I find on my plants could have been it or its offspring. How amazing is the camouflage? You could never spot it on a mossy tree. And look at this fuzzy cutie. And this amazing moth. I mean, it looks like it's been dressed by Gucci, just so elegant. Many insecticides would very likely kill any moth and butterfly caterpillars as well as adults. Yes, caterpillars can cause lots of damage to crops and ornamental plants, but then they become amazing pollinators and an important part of ecosystems. I know it's incredibly frustrating finding your succulents being munched by caterpillars, but I would urge anyone that finds one to just relocate into an area where it can safely hatch. Butterflies and moths are in great decline and slowly dying out. In my opinion, we should be doing anything and everything to help them out, even if it means sacrificing a plant. Grasshoppers of any kind will eat your succulents. This one here was caught just in time as it was about to have this little Echeveria pearl von Nuremberg for breakfast. Although I'd call grasshoppers a foe, I tend to relocate them instead of killing. The spiders and local birds do a great job of catching these too. Hoverflies are a common sight in gardens and around succulents. The good news is they are a friend. Hoverflies are often mistaken for wasps or bees, but these little guys don't sting. They are good little pollinators, but more importantly for succulent growers, they eat aphids. Their little green larvae will eat huge amounts of aphids. You definitely want lots of these guys around. If you ever found some sort of a lizard or a gecko amongst your plants, they are good news. They tend to eat insects including pests like grubs, slugs and other succulent munchers. The only time a lizard has done damage to my plants is when they're huge like this guy and walk over them, squashing them in the process. But I don't really mind and love seeing them around. I know many people are not going to like this, but wasps are friends despite their stingers. They eat loads of pests that would otherwise wreak havoc on plants of all sorts. Instead of killing them, I try and give wasps as much space as possible, even if they set up shop near me. Predatory wasps like this one are particularly good. Some species inject their prey with eggs that hatch inside and eat their way out, kind of like the alien. Predatory wasps do not sting or bite people, so please leave them do their thing. Aphids are one of the biggest foes you'll find in your garden. It's also one of the few animals I'll kill when I see them on my plants. They appear on flowering succulents and on fresh new growth, spreading at the speed of light to plants around. I have a more detailed video specially dedicated to aphids and how to control them, and I'll be tagging it at the end of this video. Ants on plants is never good news. If you ever see ants crawling over your succulents, you probably have one of three things: aphids, mealybugs or scale. Here, ants are farming and protecting aphids on an Echeveria afterglow. Aphids secrete honeydew, which ants love and harvest. In return, ants will protect aphids from predators and even move them onto new plants. I remember reading a study once that found aphids would not be as successful a pest without the help of ants. When it comes to succulents, an ant is a foe. However, ants play an important part in the ecosystem, and so I would not go around killing them. Instead, you can try and smear legs of tables your plants are on with peppermint oil or sprinkle cinnamon, baby powder or draw with chalk. Soapy water tends to work fairly well on garden plants and should to a degree deter aphids along with plants. I love seeing birds around, and we have so many here. I've heard people say birds eat their succulents, but they have never attacked my plants and should not really cause too much damage. Unless you're dealing with these cheeky monkeys. They can destroy succulents just for funsies. We have loads of sulfur-crested cockatoos around, and so far I've been pretty lucky, but I know people that have had mature plants completely taken apart by them. Despite the possibility of a little bit of damage, I'd never call a bird a foe. They are more likely to eat pests than succulents. The larvae of quite a few beetles can be a foe for succulents as they can feed on roots and leaves. This is the work of either a scarab beetle or weevil grubs. Both can be controlled with pesticides, but I don't really use them because they don't cause me that much damage. The pesticides also kill a whole score of good insects. In my personal experience, beetles don't cause too much trouble. We get lots of snakes around here, but as scary as they may be for some, snakes are not foes. The only damage they can cause is squashing plants if they slither on top of them. When I see one, I give it space and they usually bugger off eventually. Mealybugs, whether on roots or in foliage, are one of the worst succulent pests. Definitely a foe. They spread incredibly fast and can do lots of damage, especially to smaller, less established plants. If you see distorted growth and white in succulents, you have mealies. They hide really well and an infestation is not noticeable until there's a few of them. To this day, I have not come across a mealybug insecticide that works 100% as they are well protected by a cottony cocoon and waxy surface. In my personal opinion, keeping things clean, checking and squashing will go a long way in keeping mealybugs at bay. 70% alcohol spray will kill smaller mealybugs pretty well. Ladybugs are a great garden friend as they and their larvae love eating aphids. If you ever see any, just let them do their thing. Well, I hope you found this video useful, and if you have a garden friend or a foe I've not mentioned here, please do share with us in the comments. To learn more about succulents, subscribe to my channel or visit succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you very much for watching.